Hi, this is Dr. Fu. Welcome to Psych 331. I have a presentation prepared for you called Roadmap to Success. It's really a way for me to introduce myself to you, talk a little bit about my expectation, my approach to teaching, and really make you feel at ease to know who I am and ways that I can probably help you to achieve your goals. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Before we do that, though, I want to let you know at any point if you would just want to pause the slideshow, you can do that to take some notes, reflect on the questions, or maybe grab your syllabus if you have that printed out already. You can look at the details on it when we talk about assignments. So feel free to really make this your own learning journey. Okay, let's get started. So before I introduce myself, I really want to encourage you to think about what are your goals? This could be very general, life goals in general, your goals for college, goals for this course, this semester, but what are some of your goals? And in this course, you're going to learn about context, and context really matters. But when we put these two questions in context, why are you in college? Why are you in college now? What do you hope to get out of it? And I really want you to reflect on those questions with an additional question of how do you think I can support you as an instructor within the bounds of this course? So if this is a good time to hit pause and really reflect on it, maybe take some notes, feel free to do that. But if not, continue on. I'll talk a little bit further about who I am and how I see teaching as a part of my life and who I am. So to formally introduce myself, I'm Dr. Fu. Some of you, I recognize your name from previous courses that I might have taught. So to put it into context, there's a few things I really want you to know about me and developmental psychology and a little bit about my background. I've been teaching developmental psychology since I got here in 2015. This is absolutely one of my most favorite courses to teach. I think it's fun, but it also has a great opportunity to not only look at who we are, where we came from, how we came to be the person that we are today based on our background, based on genetics, our environment, our genes, our surrounding, and the choices that we make. The other thing that I really have learned is because of the content of this course, it's very relatable. Even if you don't have children or you haven't worked with children or you're not around them that much, at one point in your life, you were a kid. And even as human beings, as adults, we're still growing. So there's a lot of application in the course that's relevant, even if you're not around children. So I want you to kind of keep an open mind, even if children aren't really in your personal or professional interests, that's completely okay. Try to apply the theory to yourself, because I think a lot of times when you are able to apply theories and what you're learning professionally to your personal experience, it just makes it stick a lot more. And the last thing I will say about me is I'm trained as a counseling psychologist. So a big part of my background professionally is I love to help individuals who are already at a very good place, who know what they want, but help them become better and the best version of themselves. I once took a strengths assessment called Strengths Quest. And one of the things that I'm really good at is maximizing that. So what a maximizer means is exactly what you're seeing on the screen here. Is I take something wherever they're at, really identify what they're good at already, and then help them become even better or the best version of themselves. So what I'll do next is I'll talk a little bit about what I think the value of college is, but then really diving into the expectations of the course and how the course is structured. So let's get started. So when I've asked people why they in college, what are they wanting out of college, usually it's a combination of one or more of these themes. They want a better version of themselves. They want to be able to provide for their loved ones. They want financial security, more freedom in terms of their time, their career choices, or a combination of the above. And when you look at this picture here on the screen, what you see 4 years after high school graduation. For someone, if they went to work directly full-time after high school, didn't do college, they definitely would have earned a little bit more than a person who went into college and maybe either worked part-time or didn't work. And then they might have accumulated debt or at least paid college tuition. But if we kind of look longer beyond the 4 years, if we look at a lifetime value of a college degree, what you see here on the screen is there are definitely more money in the long term to be gained with a college degree. And it's not to say money is everything, but for many, many people, job security is as real as it comes, especially for those who have families to support or so yeah, that's something to definitely consider as you're thinking about why am I in college and what's the value of my degree beyond that piece of paper? What do I need walking out of here in terms of skill sets, in terms of aspirations, in terms of goals? And how can every step of the way, each courses that I take, each instructor that I encounter, how can they help me achieve that goal to get me to where I want to go to in 5 years, 10 years, or over my lifetime? They also have lower unemployment rate should they get unemployed. And even when they are unemployed, they find new jobs much quicker than someone with only a high school diploma. When they do have a job, they also feel a lot more satisfied at their jobs. They find more meaning with it in comparison to other people with just a high school degree. And they often find themselves having more autonomy at work. So when they do have a job, they also have a higher job satisfaction, which is something that a lot of people look for. After all, we do spend an awful lot of time at our jobs. So if you're getting paid the same amount, but you have increased job satisfaction, why not? And what a lot of people say is they have a lot more autonomy at work when they are a college graduate. According to research, there are also a lot of emotional benefits to having a college degree, like having more friends, having higher self esteem, really know who they are, and are better at communicating what they want. There are also benefits in terms of physical health. They're more likely to have health insurance or access to health care, and probably have more knowledge to care for themselves in that arena. Quality of life benefits. When I've asked students about their goals in life in an in class setting, a lot of them often say they want a better life, either for themselves, for their families, and even for those they cared about, whether it's friends or a family of choice. So, really, what a college degree does is it opens a lot of doors and happiness for a lot of cases. So, we can kind of think about why you in college, and especially when midterm comes, you're just slammed with a lot of it. Think about long term. What does a college degree really afford you? There's a link to a video on YouTube that talks about the future of learning and really where we're at. And I think this video is really helpful because I resonate with a lot of the ideas they have in there and ways that we can really use education to empower people and create the future that they want. So if you're interested, click pause right now, click on the link, and go watch that YouTube video. It's about 7 minutes, so not too long. So this presentation was entitled Roadmap to Success. We're going to talk about keys to success in this case. So for you, if you had to come up with top 3 things that the best of the best college students and what they do to lead to success academically, professionally, lifelong success, if you will, what would they be? What are those top 3 things? Is it going to classes, reaching out to mentors? What are those things? And if you answered the flip side of it, or the other end of the equation, I should say, what are top 3 things best college professors do? And you don't know me yet, but I wonder if you could come up with those top 3 things and maybe share it with me the next time we have a discussion board. This would be really helpful for me to get a sense of what you need, what your idea of a best professor is, and I really am human. I can't promise to do all of that, but it will give me a good idea about your individual needs and how I can tailor this course to meet those needs. So next I'm going to talk about different ways that we learn and demonstrate our learning. And when you kind of look at the bottom part of this figure, there's remembering, understanding. But when you get to the higher levels, it's applying the content, creating new stuff, evaluating with a critical eye, or analyzing the information at hand. And the reason why I wanted to include this figure is to let you know, even though there will be remembering of content and understanding of it before we start doing that, a lot of this course will be focused on the top level, which are skills that you are actually going to use and benefit you long term, whether in your personal life or professional life. So this is called Bloom's taxonomy of learning, just in case for those of you who really like a name to your figures. So without further ado, let's get cracking on what the course is structured as currently. I'm always open to feedback and suggestion, barring that they are reasonable. And if there's specific individual accommodations that you would like to request, please feel free to email me or message me in the Canvas inbox. I would definitely love to listen to what your thoughts are and then see how we can make it happen in the semester if it's possible. But yeah, let's definitely get started on what is already in store. So this is what I call the developmental psychology pie. This portion would be slightly longer, so bear with me, but I'm hoping through explaining it this way, the structure of the course and the expectation would be a lot clearer. So as you notice, on the bottom of the pie, the 40%, that's what we call the small group activity and discussion. So what I'm going to do within the next few weeks is to give you individual assignments. As you can see in the first module, you will complete an introductory discussion board, which some of you already have. You will complete a CLA. You will complete a personal fact sheet, as well as the syllabus quiz. So once you've completed all of that, excuse me, it will give me an opportunity to really see who you are, and that way I can split you into different groups that are relatively equal in terms of your strengths, your diversity. What I'm hoping to do is to have as diverse of a group as possible, but have the groups to be equally distributed. So I'm not going to have all the people who love writing in one group and all the people who love presenting in one group and all the people who love group one into one group. I'll try to kind of split that out evenly as much as I can. I'm going to split up gender if I can, split up majors, split up years. So I'm going to take all those factors into consideration. So that's why it's really important for you to fill out that personal fact sheet. Once I split you into your groups, you will be in the same group for the entire semester. So you will really get to know your teammates. And your task this semester, overall task, is to raise a baby. So starting from this first scenario, which you will be given starting week 3, the first task you will have is you either found out you were pregnant, or you were trying to get pregnant, or you're adopting a child. And then we'll go from that point and almost raise a kid at different stages until they are young adults. So your task each week within your small group is to problem solve, research, apply theories to whatever scenario I throw your way. And because each baby will be different across different groups, so it will be fun and educational to see what other people and other babies are doing. That's where the big group, class discussion comes in. So kind of keep that jargon in mind. What you do within your small group of 6 to 7, that's called small group discussion. And then once you're in your small group, starting week 3, I will also have a sign-up sheet. So for each of you, you'll get a chance to look at the different topics that's laid out for the semester. You just pick one week that you want to present in the bigger class discussion. So imagine if you were in a in-person class. This is very similar to that format where you would have lectures, then maybe given a scenario to work on in your teams. You work on your small teams and then elect a delegate to kind of report on your finding. That's what the team leader's role is. They will summarize, report, and maybe bring up questions that your team couldn't problem solve, which is very real. It happens in real life parenting. And then what the rest of you who are non-team leaders, what we call just team members, you would go on and see other people's kind of parenting findings, scenarios, and you would comment on that. So for instance, if I'm in group 1, my group leader this week is Joe. Joe will go on the classroom discussion and record and share what we came up with or what we couldn't disagree on, maybe ask for advice. And then myself and the rest of our 5 teammates, what we'll do is we will go on there and find other group leaders recording and kind of find out what they're up to. It's almost imagining you're in a village or in a community. You're raising your own babies in your own homes for the most part, but you do interact with other people and you can learn from other people's success, mistakes, doubts, whatnot, and then provide support. So that's why we will have 2 portions of the discussions. So the first 40% is what happens at home, quote unquote, in your small group. The 20% that's right next to it in the green portion is what you'll be graded as team leader, how well you're presenting and asking for support, more resources, and then your participation as team members when you're providing and critiquing and whatnot of other teams' work. Then for the rest, the pie that's right next to it, that 12%, that's sort of an orangey red, that 12% is a final presentation that you and your group members will put together. So essentially that will occur at the very, very end of the semester, and essentially it's sort of a reflection report of your parenting journey. And when I say your parenting journey as individuals, you could all decide that you're parents. For some scenarios, there might be multiple parents, or there might be grandparents, aunts, aunties, whatnot, or you can come up with roles. So just really imagine you are raising children together. I know this isn't exactly of how normal or average parents are, where you usually have 2, maybe 3 or 4, depending on your arrangement of households. But I thought having a group of people raise children might be fun and also allow you to have real life scenarios to really apply the theories to. Okay, so right next to it on the pie is your quizzes. So a good portion of your grade will also come from quizzes. Those are individualized. I would encourage you to complete them before you do classroom discussions, but there's nothing that kind of prevents you from doing team or classroom discussions before then. There are deadlines, so be sure to refer to them on the syllabus, course schedule, or on Canvas schedule. And then finally, that little slither is the CLA. We've kind of talked about that a little bit, but the CLA is a writing assignment that we will do twice over the course of the semester. The first one will be due soon, and then the second one will be due towards the end of the semester. The CLA is really a way to kind of challenge you to read through a large amount of information relatively quickly, sift through what's valid, what's reasonable, what's useful and applicable to the scenario that you're trying to solve, and then put it together in writing. So sometimes you might pull out pieces of information and say, yes, that's believable, that's credible, I believe it, and it's useful to whatever problem I'm trying to solve. Other times it might be to critique and say, while that person seemed to have a point, but really we don't know what the source of information is. We don't know if we can trust it. So that's one way of kind of weaving in your CLA. And really that's a good practice to have, not only because many of you will have to take it again once you graduate, or actually before you graduate, but it's a real good real life tool to have. So hopefully this explanation would make the flow of the course a lot more understandable. I know it's kind of confusing when you read it on paper. Please feel free to reach out to me if it's still not making sense. I am happy to help clarify, whether through email or through phone, but essentially a good portion of it will come from your individual contribution within your small group, as well as the bigger classroom discussion where we are learning from each other. And hopefully it's not too time consuming. I did want for you all to record when you are presenting as class leaders, but when you're doing small group discussion, just regular typing on a board would be fine. And if you wanted to record, that's perfectly legit, but it's not a requirement. And if for whatever reason audio or video recording is an issue, please reach out to me and let me know, and we can work out something if it's really an issue for you. So this is what I would call almost a suggested flow of how I imagine each week, each module. First, you would start with the lectures that's in the module and then take the pre-class quizzes. I call them the readiness assessment quizzes. Then once you do those, usually the small group discussion would have already been open. as you read through the textbook or go through the lecture, you can think about those questions already. But this would be the point where you kind of come in, you contribute, you ask questions, you pull in resources, and you help your team raise the best baby possible. Then the team leader of that week, whoever that person is, will go to the whole class discussion first. They will post their recording of your group's finding. Then the rest of the team members will go on and you can support your team leader, but also the focus is really to learn about what other teams are doing and to kind of learn from that process and maybe support them. And usually what I would do is I will wrap up by either chiming in during the discussion board, giving individual feedback within grades, and or giving out announcements to kind of wrap up that module. And usually this will be the flow of how each week or every 2 week kind of goes. So I imagine many of you are familiar with Canvas, but if you're not, there are resources in the first module to kind of guide you through it. Please reach out to me. Everything is done through Canvas. Assignments are submitted there. It makes it a lot easier to track, get feedback, make sure everything is in one place. So please do get familiar with Canvas as soon as possible if you aren't already. And like I said, there is good IT support. Canvas has really good, I guess they call it hotlines, but please feel free to reach out to me if you just have a specific question or something isn't opening. That's definitely something to reach out for. So this was definitely a little longer than I had anticipated, but hopefully with these explanations, it really sets you up to think about what you want overall in life and in the short term. How can this course, myself, and your peers really fit into this bigger picture and help you get closer to that goal? And kind of the structure of the course. If that's not making sense, let me know. Most of it should make sense, theoretically anyway. And I think a lot will make sense and click once you are in the smaller group. So for the first week, please just complete the assignments in Module 1. Announcements are usually your best friend. Modules are my go-to. And then you should be able to see grades and feedback as I go along and provide those. I am really excited for this new format of quote-unquote raising babies together as a community. I've seen some of your discussion already. I'm really excited to get to know all of you and really help you facilitate your learning throughout this process. So I look forward to speaking to you all soon. If you have any questions in the meanwhile, feel free to inbox me in Canvas or email. Those are the best ways to get to me. Inbox, sometimes it doesn't pop up to me until the end of the day. So email is absolutely the fastest. And I'm on email really regularly. So that's it for now. Take care, and I will speak to you all soon.